So guys, I want to know your opinion on live-in relationships. Live-in relationship. Live-in relationships. Live-in relationship. Live-in relationships.
Actually, we were single. It's hurting.
So the concept and term of live-in relationships has been trending in our country for last 5 or 6 months. I wanted to know what the general public of Bengaluru feels about this topic.
So it's objected by the society first of all, but I think in this generation most of the people are in live-in relationship, and I think it's a step forward in your relationship.
Live-in relationships really matters on both the individuals, on how they come across with each other, and I basically don't find it bad or it's mistake to be together.
हर आदमी का कॉमन हो गया, लड़का लड़की बिना शादी होने बिना एक रूम में रहना है, उधर ही फ्रेंडशिप में रहता है, बाद ऐसा कुछ ना करके बाद सुसाइड करना, सब यही ज़्यादा हो गया अभी.
I feel like it will completely develop by the time, like in another generation or two at best, because a lot of people are of the idea that you have to at least live with the person to know if you can spend the rest of your life with them, right? You have to know, can I tolerate you for the next 40 plus years?
I think it's better before marriage to have a live-in relationship. You'll get to know the person better, and like while doing the day-to-day activities, there are few things you might not be okay with, and you'll get to know the person better and see if you can, adjust.
I think you need to be open about it with your parents, and also what is the reason that the both of you are living together for. Like, if you both have the same reason, like if the end goal is to get married, then it works.
The only thing that I say is live-in relationships, if they're not committed and have kids, it will have a very negative impact on kids.
Okay.
If they break up after having kids, there is no stable family. What will happen to the kid? How will they grow up? What will be their future?
When we think that we will be living with our partners after marriage, before marriage we are not doing that. So live-in gives us a chance to, do a stage rehearsal of what we are going to do after the married life, so that we can sort out the problems that we are going to have after marriage, and we are going to have a nice and happy marriage that way.
Have a committed relationship before having kids.
Okay.
Get married. Like, hey, you can try the live-in relationship till you get familiar with each other, then plan a family.
Okay.
Don't have kids in a live-in relationship. It'll have a negative impact on the kids.
I like to put what the other citizen whom we talked to. This is a very interesting point he said. He's a senior citizen, and he said that live-in relationships and all is fine, but he pointed out at a negative aspect of it. He said that if while in live-in relationship, if you have a kid, and then if you separate, because separating from a live-in relationship is easier comparatively from separating in a marriage, then it might have very negative impact on the kid, and in their formative years they'll have a very different idea of relationships and partnerships. So what do you think of that?
The thing is, even if the partner, there's a husband and a wife and they are married and they have some problems, issues regarding their marriage, and they have a kid and they get separated, the child is still gonna have the same thing, experience the same thing what he's gonna experience, or he or she is gonna experience when they are in a live-in and they get separated.
Okay.
So I don't think that's a big issue.
Bigger issue. Okay.
Yeah, marriage is just like a tag that they are officially married to each other, bonded to each other, and apart from that, everything is just the same.
Just the same.
Yeah.
So I have no idea how it
But do you think would you consider that
it would
thought?
impact the kid, because seeing the separation of their parents, like both mom and dad, would be a trauma kind of a thing for the kid. But yeah, we have to they have to educate the kid well in advance, or let them understand, or come up with a situation where both can co-parent and stuff. So that can work. But obviously, when there's a separation between the parents, obviously the kid will go through the trauma.
And now what is happening is that people are actually looking at live-in relationships as a viable option for marriage moving ahead. Yeah. And then there is another side of population which is like, this is a very Western concept. Yeah. So do you think that in India, live-in relationship might at any time in the future, is it capable of substituting marriage?
I think the whole borrowing from the West is a concept that people seem to not really understand. A lot of people seem to think that we need to take the more flashy or the more exciting things from the West, but there are a lot of things that they do, how do I put this? improve upon, that we could also take some help from, like maybe be a little bit more individualistic. Think about, because we're too much of a collectivistic society. You don't get to be your own person. Everything you do is tied to your family, your culture, your shame, blah blah blah. That's something we should be looking into.
Like living relationship is evolving and all, but yeah, I think marriage has been coming since from a long time, and I think it's nice to have an event to celebrate and all. So that way, marriage is a cool thing, but I don't think that marriage will completely get over.
Definitely. I think, yes. I think maybe not our generation, maybe, but upcoming generation after 2 or 3 generations, I think living will be a common thing by then. I think it's already common right now. I think most of 20% of the population is okay with that, is what I believe.
I might agree with that because things are evolving and things change. We're living in the modern society at this point, and you don't know how every aspects change. And even dating now is like completely different, but when things were back in the days, it's like everything evolves. So yeah, things will change.
आजकल शादी होने के बाद क्या करते हैं, शौहर हो या बेबी हो, हर आदमी की दूसरे स्टेट में भी रिलेशन रखने रहता है. आजकल ज़्यादा वही हो गया. आजकल फ्रेंडशिप रिलेशन में हस्बैंड के बाद भी हस्बैंड भी रहता है, उसके बाद बॉयफ्रेंड भी रहता है.
I think it ever is about substituting marriage. I think there are perks and cons about live-in relationship and also an arranged marriage, because a live-in relationship you get to know the person, their flaws before you move in together, like before you get married, their flaws and how they are, and then there's a lot of other things as well. But yeah, I don't think it can substitute marriage, because marriage is like a bond. But it is in a way like a rehearsal dinner before the actual dinner.
अगर बीवी अच्छी रहे तो शौहर अच्छा नहीं रहेगा, शौहर अच्छा रहे तो बीवी अच्छा नहीं रहेगा.
वो बीवी प्रॉब्लम है.
बीवी प्रॉब्लम नहीं बोल सकता मैं, हर बीवी प्रॉब्लम नहीं बोल सकता, शौहर बीवी प्रॉब्लम होता.
Marriage, like it is a compromise. Both husband and wife have to compromise, otherwise the marriage won't work, right? With a live-in relationship, you're not committed, so for any reason you can just walk away.
But as in when we grow like 2 or 3 generation, if you see our generation, we are okay with it, but not everybody. Like our kids, their kids might be okay with the live-in relationship.
For the marriage to work, both partners have to change, compromise and change a little bit, right? And if that is where marriages break down.
अभी अब हम लोग काम करते हैं, घर में थोड़ा टाइम देना चाहिए, किसी बीवी को बच्चे को थोड़ा टाइम देना चाहिए ना. हम लोग टाइम नहीं देते हैं, कभी पैसा 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 कमाना, ये पैसे क्या करेगा, बीवी को हम लोग प्यार मोहब्बत नहीं कर सकते ना. ये क्या होता है, प्यार मोहब्बत नहीं कर सकते, उनको क्या होगा, मेरा शौहर प्यार नहीं करता, मोहब्बत नहीं करता, हम लोग दूसरे का बॉयफ्रेंड अगर दूसरे का इंतजाम कर लेते हैं.